Sounds like we're getting ready. Hi. It is such an honor and privilege to be here this afternoon in order to welcome you to our 10th anniversary program for the professors, the doctors, Robert H. Manley, and A. Zachary Yamba. You didn't get to see him? Oh, goodness. I just hope that you all have been able to read through their bios. These men have been working in their communities for a long time. They have contributed so much to their communities. And when we sit in the presence of elders and can be able to celebrate our elders while they're with us, I think it's so much more meaningful than gathering at the end of time and saying all the kind and wonderful things about them. They won't hear it right then, but they are with us. And we are so favored in order to be able to celebrate with them this afternoon. So you all have your run program so that you can follow along with us. If not, you are going to find them here at the end of the podium. One thing I want to say is we have many musicians on this that I don't know if Samantha Powell will be able to return. There was a medical. She's here. Okay, so we are very good because Samantha had a family emergency this morning and she was not, so she was coming prepared and had to follow up. But you know what? In the tradition of faith, we say there's always a plan B. Our plan B are truly unaccompanied minors. Okay, they are not truly minors, but they are our singing group from Columbia High School. These guys, you just don't know. You came in and you're going to just make this day all that it should be. So we thank you. I heard them singing earlier. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, we're going to be able to start off with a prelude, our musical prelude, which is going to set the tone for us as well. And this is going to be Jesse Cooper, one of our church members, and he's accompanied by our church organist, who is Grigori Smirnov. Thank you so much, Jesse and Grigori. I'm going to open first with a reading from the First Testament, the book of Psalms, Psalm 98. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song, for he has done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm have gotten him victory. The Lord has made known his victory. He has revealed his vindication in the sight of nations. He has remembered his steadfast love and faithfulness to the house of Israel. All the ends of the earth have seen the victory of our God. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Break forth into joyful song and sing praises. Sing praises to the Lord with the lyre and the sound of the melody, with trumpets and the sound of the horn. Make a joyful noise before the Lord, the King. Let the sea roar and all that fills it, the world and those who live in it. Let the floods clap their hands. Let the hills sing together for joy at the presence of the Lord. For he is coming to judge the earth. He will judge the world with righteousness and the peoples with fairness. Let us pray. O God, ancient of days, whose glory and majesty are hidden in the vastness of the universe, but revealed in the eyes of the heart of those with understanding and appreciation for your love of all that you have created. Bless our honorees, Doctors Manley and Yamba. Their work in education, social justice, and global responsibility has shaped generations. May they continue to enjoy the rewards of their labor. We ask your blessing on our moderator, Dr. Kwai Telsford, and participants. Grant them wisdom and insight. May they be instruments of your divine plan for creating a responsible and just local and global community. Bless our planning team, our musical presenters, the leader of spoken word, and everyone who will join in this discussion today. O Blessed One, we are all connected to this community, and we labor together to bring awareness and light to the concerns of our world. So grant us your spirit of unity as we spend this time together In faith, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
At this time, I'm going to invite the unaccompanied minors.
There we go. Oh, perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. We are the Unaccompanied Minors, Columbia High School's mixed voice a cappella group, which means we have both higher and lower voices. We'll be singing 2 songs for you today. The first of which will be Dear Boy, which is a song by Paul McCartney. It was arranged by a member of our group, Brooklyn Agent, who unfortunately cannot be with us today. And it will be soloed by Sylvie Henn. The second song we'll be singing for you today will be Build Me Up, Buttercup.
I guess you never knew, dear boy, what you had found. I guess you never knew, dear boy, that she was just the cutest thing around. I guess you never knew what you had found, dear boy. I guess you never saw, dear boy, that love was there. And maybe when you look too hard, dear boy, you never do become aware. I guess you never did become aware, dear boy. When I stepped in, my heart was down, and as our love came through and brought me around, got me up and about. Do 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 do, dear boy, do 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 do. Do 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 do, dear boy, do do do. Dear boy, when I stepped in, my heart was down, and as our love came through and brought me around, got me up and about. I hope you never know, dear boy, how much you miss. And even when you fall in love, dear boy, it won't be as good as this. I hope you never know how much you missed, dear boy, how much you missed, dear boy.
Build me up, don't break my heart. 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 Build me up, don't break my heart, my heart.
Why do you build me up, buttercup baby, just to let me down, Let's be around in the worst of all, you never call baby when you say you will. I love you so many
history, how long? What year?
I have no idea. Long time.
A long time ago. But I know in 2019 was the first time I heard of Columbia's unaccompanied minor. So you stand on great legacy, and we appreciate you. Parents, I can say... Okay. I can say that this kind of coming out, just getting their Sunday afternoon, what a treasure, what a treasure. So, well done, well done. Yeah. At this time, we're going to have an introduction of our film, and this is going to be by by Nina and by Carol. They're going to give us a small production of the 10 years that we've had with this lecture series. So I'll let you introduce it the way that you find okay. Come on. Hello everyone, thank you for coming. The film you're about to see is a brief snapshot of the 10 years of the lectures. So you can see a brief snapshot of the 10 years of the lecture that Dr. Yammer and Dr. Manley have started here at FPT. So I'm going to go ahead and cue it up.
In March of 2014, the UN Secretary General paid a visit to Sierra Leone, Ban Ki-moon, and he said at that time, Sierra Leone represents one of the world's most successful cases of post-conflict recovery, peacekeeping, and peace building. The reason for his visit was to close the UN Integrated Peace Building Office in Sierra Leone, UNIPSIL. And for him, this was a very symbolic moment because this was essentially saying Sierra Leone has done well. 10 years of civil war, 12 years of post-conflict recovery, the country received a check mark, it was doing very well, it had recovered, and it was held up as a model of post-conflict recovery. So how do we go from this model to 2 months later when the Ebola virus breaks out to the kinds of numbers that we're seeing now and the struggles that the country is undergoing? This is the question that I'm looking for, that I'm discussing.
And very often, when the listener is loving, when the listener is present, when the listener is filled with faith, you have this incredible miracle, like Jesus on the cross. In a world where nobody was listening, he was listening to everybody around. And he said, Lord, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. He was able to listen to them even though they were not able to speak. So I think that we come from a tradition where listening is actually very powerful. It's not powerful only the one that speaks, it's very powerful even the one that listens.
That's a good sign. I think it's a sign that people are waking up. And if there was ever a time for us to be woke, it's now. Because as you all can see, our country is experiencing things. Now, I'm old enough, I just turned 63. I'm old enough to remember the Eisenhower election, even though I was a little boy. At the time, kids were still coming to school with the I like Ike buttons on. And I can tell you, in my life, I don't know about you, I can only speak for myself, I've never seen an election like the election of 2016 for president. And although we've only had about 55 days of the first administration, it's beginning to feel like 2 years already.
We've got some sort of urgent, pressing issues before us in our society today. I love and I'm troubled, but in a good way, by the metaphor that we are in a deep valley that we have put ourselves in. And it's really important that we work together, to try and resolve some of these issues and move our society to a better better place.
And it's beautiful because we focus on building relationship. Our group, most people hear it and they think of the conflict in the Middle East in terms of Israel and Palestine. But a lot of what we do is coming together, having meetings where we break bread together, where we celebrate holidays as Muslim and Jewish women. And it's a beautiful experience because what we found is that in order for you to have those deep, meaningful conversations, it's important for you to first have a respect and an understanding between people.
I guess I'll start off with kind of the core theological principle that I've been struggling with or feeling called to recently, and that's the commandment that we should love the stranger. So almost everybody knows that we're commanded to love God twice, commanded to love our neighbor once. But most people don't realize that in the Hebrew Bible we're commanded 36 times to care for the stranger.
As Jonathan said, I have two organizations that I have helped start and give my time to. One is an organization called Women for Afghan Women, which started right here in New York City as a ragtag group of volunteers pre-9/11, which has grown to be the largest women's organization in Afghanistan. And I'm so proud of that. And I must say that I live here in New York, and we have 800 Afghan staff, men and women, who every day risk their lives to go to work to fight for women's rights in a country where doing that work literally means that your life is at risk every day.
And my work has been, especially among immigrants here, to see how immigrants are using the same religion that was some way oppressive to also organize their lives.
So what I did was I was able to compile the most up-to-date statistics on international migration, but more specifically U.S. immigration policy, U.S. immigration statistics. So that's what I will spend most of my time presenting to you. But while I was compiling the information, I realized that international migration has really contributed to where we are today as a world community.
If we don't document these stories, if we don't get the cover story, we are going to miss the point of what we are struggling for. It is very important that these individual stories be documented.
I think the inequities we see on both a domestic scale here in the United States as well as worldwide are part of this imbalance of both power and profits from industrial revolution that we have inherited, in fact, from both the transatlantic slave trade era itself, and as Dr. Green has pointed out, the kind of extraordinary wealth created in the 18th and especially in the 19th century that produces the Industrial Revolution. And it's that Industrial Revolution that feeds into the kind of corporate structures we have today.
I would just add, we can see it in terms of low-wage labor and the way capital uses it. For example, we have immigrants coming into America, both legal and illegal, and they're exploited.
And I'm so honored and pleased to be a part of the 7th annual Manly Yamba Lecture Series. I would like to extend a big thank you to the entire community at the First Presbyterian and Trinity Church. I'd especially like to thank Susan Hay for inviting me, and I'd like to thank all of you for joining us this afternoon.
One of my huge heroes, and many people's, is Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was a woman of deep faith and conviction.
Do you pay attention to any tree around your house? The rivers next to your church? The chipmunks, the wild rabbit, the squirrel, the topsoil. Have you ever paid attention to those things?
You know, when we're looking at coming in and talking about what I wanted to share with you today, just looking at the theme, it kind of resonates with who I am and how I've gotten to this point as the first female and the first person of color. There are not many people that are college presidents or university presidents that look like me.
And I began to quote one of my favorite, beyond President Yamba, one of my favorite college presidents in this country, a guy from Florida, who said, "Teach the students you have, not the ones you wish you had." So over the past 13 years, that's what I've been doing, working to make our college better for the students we serve in our community.
And today we're celebrating the goodness of our earth. If we can manage to save ourselves, and it'll be a pleasure to hear what every young person has to say.
However, man-made actions such as deforestation cause there to be a surplus in carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, resulting in global warming. Now, in addition to the large-scale removal of trees, tree removal on a small scale is also a major issue. Homeowners will often cut down trees for the purpose of beautifying their lawn, with a disregard for the environmental impact of their landscaping.
But I must say, what might as well be considered the most important right, our right to equality, has been in recent years infringed upon to an unfathomable extent. And now, whether an intentional action or unforeseen consequence, our present world thoroughly embodies George Orwell's chilling statement. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. This very world is what the concept of ecological justice serves to combat.
But Clover's worry was because of her home. Because back in Australia in 2020, Australia was experiencing some of the worst wildfires on record. Before then, Clover didn't realize it was climate anxiety. But this is a problem that is plaguing the future.
Thank you to our tech team for covering those years, reminding us of the great work we've done in Word in order to continue the progression of how we think about our global community and how we're contributing to our global community, whether it's in our individual spheres or whether it's also reaching out beyond our communities in order to do that. At this time, we're going to also turn our attention to the screen, correct? No. Yeah, spoken word. Yes! Oh, darling, darling, darling. I am pleased to invite you to come up in order to present our spoken word today. Good to meet you. Good to meet you.
Thank you for having me. This is actually the place where I started writing under Miss Carroll. She actually was my creative writing teacher back when I was like 12 years old, and I've come a long way since then. So it's an honor to be here.
You did a workshop.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, in the theme of social justice, I'm going to be doing a piece about resilience in the face of adversity, which I feel like is on theme with the current administration. So yeah, I'm going to put the mic down and get started.
The epitaph of my legacy, the epitaph of my legacy, the epitaph of my legacy will read like a slave. Uneducated and dark-surfaced, never to be read at all, my legacy shall be everlasting, my legacy be eternal. I am the seed of a forever growing tree. One whose leaves are never to fall and one whose rings are never to be counted. I am immortal. Dipped in the river of Styx, ankles and all, I be no Achilles. If he got shot in the ankle and lived, you see my Greek, you know mythology, they call me evergreen. I be Father Time spouse when Mother Nature gets tired. I be the one who causes all my peers' minds to be rewired. I be done outlive my peers. I be done outlive my face. I be done outlive my ears. I be my own legacy. I be done outlive my very own legs. You see, the epitaph of my legacy will read like a canvas, that of a musician. with no paint, it be blank, it be testing the ranks of future generations, it be so future, it be out of your imagination, it be past this galaxy, it be done caught the attention of every star and every cloud you see, the epitaph of my legacy be euphoria, it be ecstasy, it be cloud nine in the flesh standing here right next to me, you see, the epitaph of my legacy be a figment of your imagination. The epitaph of my legacy be no man-made creation. My legacy will have no letters, numbers, or symbols engraved in its tombstone because my legacy will have no tombstone, you see. My legacy shall live forever. My legacy will have no epitaph. The epitaph of my legacy will be like imagining the opposite of condensation. The epitaph of my legacy be an evaporated thought. Thank you.
So yes, my name is Fasha Kegler, FAJR, a little different from the program, but thank you for having me.
Good to have you. That's beautiful, and I hope I get to see it in writing so I can remember it as well. Thank you for being able to share that poem with us and to give that spoken word to us. I'm looking at my program. Now we're going to come back to music, and Lydia, okay. Linnea from Columbia High School. 2018, so we're digging into our Columbia community. We are so pleased to have you. Were they singing at that time, Linnea, did you? They were the unaccompanied minors? These kids don't know. Probably that year? Okay, because I remember 2019 hearing them sing at that time, so. Linnea. Accompanied by Susan Hay, who is the symphony director here in South Orange and a member here, so Dr. Hay, we are always pleased to see her behind the piano as well.
We're going to start with Deep River, and then we'll move on and go after.
Oh
that you were able to share that beautiful voice. I'm now going to turn it over to our elder, Maria Ricardo, and Maria is going to introduce our speaker. Oh, who else is going to? Oh, Miss Susan. Okay, I'm getting out of the way. That's what I really mean to say.
Thank you to all our young artists. What a thrill to hear that sequence of word and film and music and voice. So thank you so much. Another hand to all of those. It's a great pleasure and an honor to introduce today's moderator, Dr. Bobby Telesford. Dr. Telesford is a graduate of Columbia High School and a lifelong resident of South Orange. A dedicated research scientist, he is currently working in the field of scientific communications. He earned his Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering from Rutgers University, his Master of Science from Columbia University, and his PhD in Biomedical Engineering from Wake Forest University. Dr. Telesford served as president of the South Orange Maplewood Board of Education, where he expertly chaired many meetings, Board of Education meetings, and worked for student access and educational access and attainment. He believes that collaboration is key to driving positive change in local communities. He is also a great advocate for cultivating excellence through strategic planning and stable leadership. And he's also known to First Pres and Trinity Church through his participation in Thursday night salsa dancing. Is that correct? Yes. Thank you so much for moderating this first ever open youth forum, for helping us envision a future shaped by the goals and dreams of young citizens in our midst. We are thrilled to have today students from Columbia High School, Essex County College, Irvington High School, Lawrenceville School, Newark Academy, Piscataway High School, and representing Howard University and Kenyon College. So there's a lot of education in our midst. So please welcome Dr. Telesford.
Thank you for that introduction. After hearing all of that, it sounds like I do a lot. I never thought of myself as a leader or anything when I was in high school. I went to class and then I went right back home. I did whatever my extracurricular activities were, like I did fencing. We were on the fencing team with me.
Feel like that?
Yes. The mic. I did fencing. I was on the cross country team. But for the most part, I just said I do whatever I do in school and then I run home. I study. But as you do more and as you observe more, you want to say, how do I get more involved? And then you start wanting to, I guess, become a part of the community. And you start taking on leadership roles. And that can be anything. You don't have to be a politician. It's just doing something that is engaging. So I guess I want to open up this with the first question that we have is, what do local and global responsibility mean to you? And this is supposed to be kind of an interactive session, so we're all going to be, there will be people online, they can interact, participants here, you can participate, and maybe just to start it off, I'll read one quote from a student. This is from Pepper Allen, who is a sophomore at South County High School in Virginia. And so she answered this question saying, historically, the youth have always been a part of political movements. When I think of the meaning of global and local responsibility, I immediately think of the kids who protested during the Vietnam War. Just like how students today are doing the same with modern day issues. To me, global and local responsibility are just that. Starting movements and organizations that help the community when the people who are supposed to be in charge refuse to do it. We see it every day on the news with how people are coming together to protest for change or to feed their friends and neighbors. Our schools are filled with kids who learn and laugh together, while our communities are filled with workers who join forces to provide for their communities. However, I'm afraid that we are losing our sense of community and togetherness that really tie most of America together. Today, it feels like we are not only more distant with each other, but it feels like we cannot even reach a middle ground. No one is communicating in time when communication is so readily available. The economy seems to be steadily declining while families are struggling despite working at least 40 hours a week, and we still cannot decide whether or not kids should get free lunches. I am concerned that because of how our country seems to be changing mostly for the worse, we might lose that sense of community while trying to fend for ourselves. As the future of our world, collaborate their ideas on how to change their country for the better. They need opportunities to meet and be taught the skills to effectively communicate their ideas. Our future leaders need structure in a world that provides very little of it, whether it be through more school funding or more free/remote opportunities. Only then can our future come together and restore the feeling of hope that we were once promised. Is it make clear here?
Yes. Much better.
Do you need to take it to this one? I need to snap it like more. Confirm mic. Yes. So you heard that response or that passage from Pepper, and she spoke a lot about the idea of togetherness and forming community. So I'd like to open the floor to anyone to say what do they think local, what do local and global responsibility mean to you? Does anybody want to chime in or say anything? It doesn't have to be too long, just be a few words. And just say your name or where you're from.
Yeah, here's a little bit of background on Vidya. Thanks for being our first. She's a junior at Newark Academy. She's been an Eco Ambassador for Columbia University Center for Sustainable Development since 2019. She's planted their garden. She's worked with Ban Ki-moon Foundation. She finds time for music and dance, and we're really glad that you're the first one to answer.
Okay, you can introduce yourself and where you're from, and then speak a little.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. As Susan just introduced me, I'm Lydia. I'm from Short Hills, and I'm a junior at Newark Academy. As was just asked, the idea of global and local responsibility, what that means to me, it means first off, being able to acknowledge that you are part of a local or a global community, and I think that stems from within, from being able to actually acknowledge and to actually care. Something that we learned about in class recently has been this term of psychic numbing, and I think that has become more prevalent, obviously, as social media has become a bigger part of our lives. For those of you who might not know, psychic numbing basically just means you develop less empathy and you just start to care less about things that are going on around you. So I think for me, this question really has to focus in on ourselves, our individual choices, and actually being able to acknowledge the fact that every decision, every action, every choice we make has power, impacts other people, and not just acknowledging that, but being able to realize the fact that we should care about these things. These are other people, animals, plants, whatever you want to call it, but yes, this is our earth regardless, and being able to acknowledge that and being able to take action in that, I think is what for me being part of a local or a global community is. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rafael Mendiquez. I'm from Essex County College, and it is a pleasure to be here with you. So for me, local responsibility starts first by yourself. First, you have to love yourself enough to do stuff that are good for you. Then you have to start focusing on everybody else around you, like building a connection through communication, taking care of your neighbor, helping. This is local responsibility. Now for global, I know we cannot know and build a connection with everybody else because we have a life and all that. But I'm sure that global responsibility is just taking care of the world by just doing good stuff for the earth itself. Like by being an equal citizen, taking care of the ecosystem. This is for me global responsibility. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Anvi Anand and I'm a sophomore at the Lawrenceville School. And I just want you guys to reflect on what do you think local responsibility means to you? And what does global responsibility mean to you? Well, to me, I feel personally local responsibility, it starts from your inner network of
impact at the community level. And I feel like local responsibility is the key to unlocking global responsibility. It all starts here. For me, I started diving into my environmental initiatives within my town, Millbury, New Jersey, and from there onwards, I started embracing myself in this sustainable responsibility I kind of oversaw before. And I feel like from that chain of motivation, dedication to eco-activism, I was able to explore deeper problems, not only at a community level, but to a global scale. And global challenges are the ones that are universal and require not only your community's attention, but everyone else's. Despite the broad extent of these global problems, I feel like we often think, oh, global hunger, world poverty, they're so far from our reach. But I think we should start thinking of them as local responsibilities. Start thinking of them that they're reachable goals. And start seeing them from more of a closer lens. And that's kind of the mindset I have on both local and global responsibilities. Seeing global responsibilities not from such a far lens, but kind of treating them like they are our own personal, directly impacting responsibility. Thank you. I'm able to talk to people all around the world. People in India, people in London, people in Japan, people in South Korea. We are able to address their problems. And we can see this in New York just yesterday. Yesterday there were protests all over the place. In Colombia, all of the protests over the war. People are caring about others that aren't even closely related to them. And to me, this is what global responsibility is. Taking responsibility, taking initiative, caring for other people, even though their actions may not directly affect yourself. For me, I think so far we are doing really well with this, and we only need to go further. Thank you.
And of course, the one underlying theme I heard was connection. And I think there's also this undercurrent of what does technology mean? How does it play its role in that? Because that's kind of, when I'm thinking of connections, how do we build these connections? And of course, there's this idea of social media. Do you believe that social media has been kind of a help to build connection, or do you think it kind of, you can make the term psychic numbing, where we tend to move away from each other? So I guess the question I have is, how do we build those connections? I mean, what are some strategies that we can build? Because we know that we want to have a local connection with each other, build these relationships that will help us, move to a global, I guess, a global view of the world. But I guess the question is, how do we start to build those connections? Because is it going to be through technology, or are there other means that we can to build? What are the strategies that we'd like to do? So I'd like to look forward to that. Yes, please.
So, building connections for me is something really simple. We just have to try all the techniques, going out, going to church, going to school, being open, and using technology also is really good, like with social media, but it's not something really good to do because people usually lie sometimes. But it's better just go to church is the best way. So I guess that's it. Thank you.
Come forward. I just want to say that this is, as Dr. Telesford is saying, it's open to everyone, and we know we have students from Emily Irvington High School as well, and other places. Please, everyone, feel free to come forward. Thank you.
And I don't want to forget people online, so if there's anyone who wants to chime in online, you can also take
group connections and meetings. You get the whole town involved. Even this morning, we held a tulip sale, and we were able to raise $2,000, even with just 100 people who just passed by through church. Just a few church-covered people who came to church and attended. They just passed by, and we just had conversations, and they talked about their experiences, going to college and talking to younger. We saw a huge range of people from 6 years old all the way to seniors who just wanted to get out there and be active. It isn't, you don't need social media to get this community. We have our physical relationships that bring people close together, and we have many different ways that we can utilize and get us just closer as within our own communities.
I can attest that I'm a dance teacher now, but I did not dance at all in high school when I was younger. I was in grad school, and then there was another grad student who said, hey, I want to teach you guys something called Rueda de Casino, which is a Cuban style of salsa dance. I said, sure, why not? So I showed up, and then I just started doing it every single week. And there were 4 of us that would show up every week, and we built that connection, and then I built the skill set. And then when I did my postdoc, I was in Philadelphia, and then I found different groups that were doing this dancing. So then I just kept doing it. We kept dancing more and more, and eventually said, oh, let me form my own little dance group. And then we formed our own dance group. We did performances throughout Philadelphia, and New York, and Baltimore, and even in San Francisco, we did an annual Rueda de Casino conference. And then with that leadership, you just learn how to interact with people and talk with more people. And then I said, oh, when I moved back here, I said, oh, I want to get more involved in my community. So then I joined the school board. And so you have these very minor things that are not really connected to anything that you could say as politics or being a global citizen. It's just going out and saying, I want to be involved, which is being involved in your local Boy Scout troop. You start doing projects, and it just grows into something bigger. So I really stay connected with you. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to say anything? Or yes, please.
I'm hardly 5 feet tall, so I understand. So I think I wanted to scream.
Okay, thank you so much. It has been so exciting to hear everybody's views of the music and everything else. It's been just excellent, outstanding. When we talk about global responsibility and finding means, what it means, and then what to do about it, I think it all starts within. I think some of the presenters did say it starts with me. Because think about a tree. We plant a tree and the tree is so small. Before that tree gets large and provides shades and the leaves start moving and we feel the breeze and contributing to the environment, etc., that tree needs to build itself. What I mean by that, we have to build our inner self first and feel that we are confident enough to, first of all, take care of ourselves. Then we can branch like a tree, branch out and reach out to others. And in terms of communications, we are humans, we are not built to live in isolation. We are built to be social among family, friends, and to do certain out there, not to be isolated and just rely on social media and just texting. So in a way, we have to be out there, and to do that, first of all, we have to be aware. So awareness, I think, is a very important key here. And beyond awareness is once we are aware of ourselves and what's going on out in the outward, then perhaps we can be open-minded to learn something new as you learn the dance. And I cannot wait to join your group and to make it salsa. I'm ready to start now. So in a way, it is awareness, be open, and reach out to others. And if someone is not ready for it, give them time. At some point, they will be ready. It's a number game. The first person may not be responsive, but others may sing along or dance along. So I think to start within and then start with open mind and not to forget the respect respect to everyone, and not to do things in the community and to others, and never expect anything in return. So respect, expectations, and give love. You know, love each other. And what's the big deal? You know, if I love myself, I can shed love to others. And my parents raised us, smile, because when you smile, the entire world will be smiling back at you. So smile. Here's the mic.
Thanks into our next question. And we talked about what we see as our responsibility, how do we form connections. And so when we form these connections, we have these ideas like there are issues. So what are the most pressing concerns facing your community? And that can either be a local or even global issue. And so I'd like to open the floor. My goal is to have everybody participate if they can.
It's Dr. Manley going to speak.
Hi. Let me get down the front here somehow. Can I end this?
Come down the front.
Let me pull down. I can't tell you, even begin to tell you what it means to me to be back in this chamber right here, this one that we're all sitting in now. And with people that are here, many of whom I've known for a long time. And many have learned everything I know about anything from these people sitting right here. So this is for me what is truly an historic moment. I do want to say what a powerful experience it is to see how hard so many people have worked to make this chamber we're in now be truly beautiful and fulfilling place it is. And it didn't come easy, I don't mean that with my effort, but with a lot of people's efforts that made this a place both for worship and for performance, as well as for people to express their innermost concerns about the world we're in, the direction it's going, and the direction it's not going in. And so, I just want to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to be here with you, to share this period of time with you and to let you know that this will surely be, without the slightest question, one of the absolute high points of my life. Thank you.
Did we answer the actions as well, or just the first question?
This is more about pressing
Concerns? Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think there's a huge inequality with regards to wealth inequality in our country, of course, somehow, which leads to a lot of other issues like housing insecurity, and definitely, I guess, I'll wait to answer how I'm actually that, I guess. I'll leave it there.
So some pressing issues within the community. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Catherine Chapman. I am alumnus of Essex County College, class of 2024. And a few pressing issues within the community, I would say locally within our college alone, is a disconnect between administration and students. Mental health is a huge pressing issue within the community. A lot of students suffering with mental health issues, battling mental health issues, and I feel like maybe if students knew about the resources on campus, that would be beneficial for the students as well. And another issue I would say that is pressing within the community would be homelessness. A lot of college students are homeless and live in shelters, especially within the college community alone. You don't really see, you can't really tell that they're homeless, but they're homeless. And it's really heartbreaking, to be honest. And I really do feel like there needs to be more resources for those students as well. Reaching out to those students who are homeless, students who are battling with mental health issues. It's hard. It's hard for college students, really. And so I feel like there should be a more bridged connection within the college community and within the community altogether, so we could tackle things like homelessness and poverty.
anyone else? Do you, I guess the way I think of that question.
As long as the audience, and I have to ask permission to answer. I want to respond to that young lady. So everybody has to agree, as an elder sitting here. If there's a disconnect, then I'm going to suggest that you should not have to wait for the adults who run that institution. The role of youth in the present moment would be to bring to their attention, by any means necessary, what those needs are, because otherwise they will remain invisible, if I'm understanding the paradigm that you just brought to our attention. When I was a young person, I attended college during the 1960s. We realized that we could not rely upon all of the adults to bring about the changes, so we thought it was imperative upon the current generation to do it. So that's the mandate that I'll pass along to you. If you're going to wait for that administration to do anything, and I'm not saying that to reflect on Essex County College, I'm just indicating that history tells us that it's your moral responsibility to step into the gap and to bring it to their attention by any means necessary, which means from writing letters to the president, vice president for student services, or on the other extreme, shutting it down. The choice is yours. Malcolm would say, by any means necessary. If you, I'm going to suggest a book for all of you at Essex to read, which means you buy it and then you make sure all of your circle reads it. I would say Fanon's like the wretched of the earth, in which he speaks, I believe, to the role of youth. And he says literally the same thing. It's your responsibility in time. Adults literally have messed the world up. Adults have controlled these institutions. Look at the adults who are now running Washington, D.C. and our national government. If you listen to them, they're going to set back the hands of time by 300 years. The question is, how do you as young people see your role in that whole process? Now I want to give a shout out to Bob Manley. I don't know if Bob recognizes my voice or not. It's Forrest Bob from Black Studies Center at Seton Hall University. When I arrived at Seton Hall in 1968, I had a career that spans more than 55 years. Even having a career in higher ed New Jersey was an unfathomable idea for any of us, given the segregation that did occur within the institutions of higher learning. But when I arrived at Seton Hall, which is my third institution, there were allies like a Bob Manley, for example, and then a Dr. Yamba, who was a Seton Hall grad, who also sat on the highest board of authority at Seton Hall, the Puerto Ricans, who actually were our allies in high places. I want to give Bob a shout out since he humbly made his way to the front to make sure everybody knows who he is.
There, Dr. Yamba.
Exactly. But I just wanted to just mention that comment on behalf of all the elders who are present tonight.
Hi, listening to everyone, and I think, Linda McDonald Carter. I'm still a professor at Essex County College. I started under Dr. Yama, and I'm still here. And I teach political science and government and civics, amongst other things. Anyway, so I'm listening to everybody, and I've been studying, well, that's a couple things. I grew up in a poor working class Black community in the heart of the Central Ward in Newark, in public housing. I know public housing gets a bad rap, but it's necessary. Before we moved in, they came to see how my parents were raising us and how clean we were. And that's the background. Public housing was built for veterans coming back from World War II because there was a housing shortage. But fortunately, particularly poor Black people got the opportunity to use it. So I'm talking from this context. I was protesting Vietnam in 12. I was protesting Vietnam because some soldiers, many of them had fled the South, coming through the Great Migration from, some of them had fled the Ku Klux Klan, some of them had been sharecroppers, some had been tenant farmers. So that was my baseline for understanding the country and the history. The problem that all of you falls under the heading of the capitalist system. Capitalism needs a couple of things. It needs white supremacy to keep everybody at each other's throats. It needs chaos and confusion. And again, it needs everybody at everybody's throats so that you're not turning around to find out that we're all being taken advantage of. Right? But we don't pay attention to that. We get hooked into all the things that divert our attention. It could be as simple as Barack Obama and Hillary running for office. It was like an anomaly. It's a Black man and it's a white woman. But we weren't looking at their platforms. Sports and entertainment. All of these are diversions to keep us from paying attention to what we need to pay attention to. This system needs that. Fortunately for me, I grew up in the system, even was a capitalist system. It was the remnants of the Roosevelt's response to the Great Depression. So we have safety nets that we're losing like every day now, right? And those safety nets kept us from at each other's throats. But later on, people, and I grew up, the other thing I want to add, I grew up before the heroin came to my community and before the crack cocaine came. And I watched how the heroin was put there purposely to divert our attention from what was going on in the 60s, which he talked about, the Black Power movement, the Civil Rights movement, the women's movement, the anti-war movement. It was a way to divert and tell young people, look over here, don't look over there. And later the crack and then the AIDS, and how the crack was funding the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union, and the money was being, to pay for that was the crack money coming from my community that I still live in today. And that money coming through South America, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, right? And why people started leaving those areas to come here in the first place. Because of the cartels that came out as a result of, excuse me, the CIA funding the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union. And so we're looking at things, we don't pay attention to the history. Like the whole Ukraine thing, it's a whole history that goes back 45 years. 2025 goes back, the first edition was during the Reagan administration. Some of the remnants come from 1470 when the Portuguese off the coast of Africa, on the east coast of Africa, So at the heart of this is a system, a capitalist system, that really is the umbrella. And all the problems we have are being sustained and perpetuated because we don't know that umbrella system. Many of us take advantage, you have a nice house and you have nice things as a result of it. Everybody doesn't have, it's not meant for the masses to have. It's only meant for the few. So we try to reach where they are, like I always basketball. Everybody's not going to be a pro in basketball. But the idea is to have people striving to get there, and then they're not paying attention to anything else. So capitalism requires that we not pay attention to it. We pay attention to all the diversions. And I really think that's at the heart of what we're doing. And every institution in this country helps perpetuate that. So listen to the young lady, listen to the elder, and all the other part, because I've never heard this word intergenerational. I live intergenerational. That's how we lived in my community. And so we lost that, but when I talk about the drugs coming, that was a way to cut off the intergenerational, and we don't trust each other anymore. People don't know their next door neighbor anymore, right? So we need to think about what the umbrella is and how it's impacting us individually and collectively.
I think that kind of goes into our next question, where it is, what actions are you going to take to address these concerns? So we had some words, stand up, speak up, and invite if necessary. But what other actions are we willing to take to basically, take those leadership positions so that we can make change?
Hi, I'm Jesse Cooper. I'm a deacon here, and I'm a member of the choir. I think it's listening to our youth as well, right? I think I work in tech for the last 16 years, so I find myself working amongst a lot of folks in their 20s, 30s, and in their mid-40s. So I find a lot of people that are younger that I work alongside with, and I think that's something that, I think a lot of us with age, sometimes with wisdom, think we have to tell the youth what to do, but I think the youth are a lot smarter than they're given credit for, to be honest, and I think they probably know a lot more than we did at our age, to be honest, and so I think we have to listen to the youth and hear them out rather than tell them what to do all the time, because they're pretty capable. I've seen extremely capable people in their 20s that I work alongside that blow my mind every day. And I think, some things you can do is find a nonprofit, find something that's important to you. I'm a member of the board of directors the last 3 years, a nonprofit called Not Give a Slot that helps to humanize homelessness in the tri-state area for shelter folks and their neighbors in shelters and their neighbors on the street. We don't like to call them homeless to give them dignity. And, we do things like bring them into corporations, sit side by side to break meals, to break bread with other folks in corporations and other places so that we can help to humanize their experience and show that in a world when there is so much inequity that they're just like us. It could be any one of us that could get sick, lose a job, not afford rents. We talk about students and other folks that you would be surprised how many students, women and children are homeless in the tri-state area. So I think it's about listening, right, and hearing them out, and rather than telling them what to do, sometimes just giving them that autonomy and that trust, right, that we're in good hands, and giving them that power as well.
So I guess y'all know agree with him, but I would like to say something more. To listen to the youth have to speak, as the survey said. So, as I just said for the first question, it is all based on building yourself and communicating. Because if you are hurt, nobody will know that. You have to speak. You have to approach the person, not everybody that can help you, because you don't know everybody, right? You don't know who you're talking to. The person might be able to help you. So the first thing to do when you need something is to ask for it. That is simple, right? Right? Yeah, thank you.
When we talk about this intergenerational connection, I also think about the language that we use. And one of the things that we've had lately is, if you look at, we talked about things in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And when we hit 2000, we stopped saying decades. Well, what do we call the 00s, the aughts or something? No one used those terms, so we just stopped using those terms. When we got to 2010, well, you have 12, 13. You don't call it the teens because you have 10, 11, 12. So we didn't have a name for that. So now we're at the 20s again, but we're still not using any of that language where we start to talk about decades. And what we see instead is we talk about the generations. So we say they're the boomers, that's Gen X, there goes the millennials, they're so lazy. And then we have Gen Z. We have this language where we turn ourselves against each other. So the very language that we're using separates us. But before that, the previous generations, they had their decades, so they were all in the 60s together, all in the 70s together, and now we're in this place where the generations are separate. So I think we have to start changing our language, and then we can start making that intergenerational connection again. So look, it's the 20s now, so you think of the 20s, the roaring 20s, no, it's the 2020s. We have the same issues that we saw back in that decade happening now. So we should start thinking about those decades again, so that we can start forming connections with each other, so that we're not at each other's throats. Because boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Gen Beta, we're all connected again to start really forming those connections.
Good. It looks like a preface to what I'm going to say. It's not so much of the young and the youth. The old people, those of us on my league, we are still living and breathing. We have a chance to make changes. We have to listen to the youth, of course. They have technology or chances to talk to us more than we had when we were at their age. And young guys, folks are here. When you are replying or giving comments to something we lied about, give us the link. So as in 1934, and the smoke issue was in San Francisco as it is now. We can't lie about that. You can really look at everything that we need to know with links. Okay? In our time, we have to go and climb dusty books and open it and write and learn like this. Now, put the information in our face so that we can lie about it. One speaker said, oh, why people lie on the internet? Fine, that's the opportunity to no. Autism wasn't that much an issue in 1914 or even 1940. So you have the opportunity to really put it in the mind that, we have to deal with that. Okay, sure. Tell us what you plan to do. Are you really want to produce cars that produce less pollution? Yes, tell us that. My kids tell me that. In fact, in the classes that we do, and some of them will come with brilliant ideas on here. What I just want you to do is really put the facts out there. People lie about it. You have opportunities that we never had. Okay. Adults, just as I said, hey, we have to face the fact. When we mess up, sorry we mess up with the anyway. So please, that's my piece. Both, we have to work together. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thank you for the opportunity and I appreciate the comments and the contribution of the family. It's great to hear that and to see. It's very inspiring to hear your comments. It's very inspiring to hear the comments and the remarks made by the folks here in the group. And the singing was obvious. Thank you. I think we, I'm a sociologist, retired now, but I teach sociology for a long time, and as such I can relate to so many issues. I think there is an underlying issue in American society, and that is an illness, as they call it, individualism. It is a sickness in many ways because it destroys the self and the community. And the challenge is how to overcome that. You hear in the media people are fascinated with movies and all of that, and the politics, and all of that is centered around individualism. I made it alone, which is a myth. We have made it together. Some of us made it better than others by collaborating and working with other people, but some did not. And that leads me to the second point that is related to individualism, is that now with the social media we are more living in silos, so to speak, and so we need to overcome that as well. And there's social media is very seductive and addictive in so many ways, and so it's very easy to get sucked into it and really to forget sight of the main issues. And that ties in with the trust. So if we are individualistic people and if we are living in silos, how can we trust each other? Is that even a possibility? Is that an option? Some sociologists have actually done some research on that, and they found that the trust level in American society has declined over the years. So we don't trust each other and we don't participate in community action. And so, where are we going? What's the challenge? There's many challenges. And so, to overcome all of that, one principle I would highlight is to live up to your convictions. So if you believe in justice for all, it's justice for all, not for one, and forget the rest. The justice for black people, it also means justice for white people. There must be some compromise. Justice for Israel is justice for Palestine. You cannot achieve one without the other. And you cannot promote one without the other. And so, live up to those principles. If you believe in justice, it's justice for all. Otherwise, you are really hypocrite. And you are going back to your mistrust and fermentation. We have grown up in the society living in a segregated environment, legal segregation, social segregation, and divisions. Division by race, division by gender, division by social class, division by religion. Are we talking about one society? Who are we as human beings? Who are we as Americans? Ask yourself. Find the answer deep inside yourself. And look for the path forward. Thank you.
I liked a lot of the points that we made, and I found that, I saw that Dave would, but maybe I had, I liked the points that we made about individualism, and I feel that a large issue at hand that we've been working to build against is that young people are scared to voice their own opinions. We have such a large, the world has become so much larger within 10 years, maybe. The internet when I was born didn't exist. My mom used to say that when I was born, she didn't really have an actual phone, she had a flip phone, which it didn't have everything that we had, like X/Twitter, whatever. generic term to brand as well. Every person has their own experiences, their own brands, their own opinions, that without officially communicating a way to build it all together and meld our own thoughts, that you can't make a generalized term to help deal with 300 million people within the US right now. I think one amazing thing that we've had is and something that you've said, how are we bringing action to our issues, is that we've been starting to make discourse a more common, we've made, what is the word? Calm discourse a more common idea, a more common theme within our society. I think that having more spaces where people can calmly express their thoughts and come with a clear idea and a clear goal for all people, you create an identity, and then you can create solutions. I think we need more of that. And of course, you continue to create actions.
I want to first thank Dr. Young and Dr. Natalie for bringing us together. We're being back here. My name is Akil Kafani. I'm a professor of sociology and African studies over at Essex County College and the director of the African Honor Institute. I want to also thank my students for coming from Essex County College. I think that as we're looking at these issues, we've got to, you talk about action, and I've run for Congress and different offices. I think there's lots of different types of action that we can think about. So political action, Dr. Yama's daughter is an artist. We can have the actions of artists, singers, painters, poets, is a poet. And so there's all these different things. And I think that one of the things that we don't do that we need to do more of is that we need to be more global in our thought processes, right? So you talk about Palestine, Israel. I think that in thinking about those kinds of things that we have to say, well, where does the dialogue and thoughts that we have fit within this global context? And if you want to solve problems in Africa, you want to solve problems in Latin America, you can't just look at those places. You have to look at the global context and figure out how that is operating in that space, right? And then Linda was talking about capitalism and all these other things. And so all of these things is having a holistic look at the things that we're looking at. We want to solve problems by looking at them narrowly. And the problems are not narrow and the solutions are not narrow. So if we're broader in our thought processes, we're broader in our development of the tools even that we use, then we have a better approach to addressing and resolving some of the issues. One of the other things is that we talk about in my classes about intersectionality, but things have always been intersectional, right? And so that we just want to make sure that we're moving in that direction purposefully. And so what is our intentionality in the things that we're doing so that we ensure that as we're being holistic and global in our approach, that we strategically look at these, because folks who are moving in other directions are strategic in their actions. And so how are we strategic in making sure that we do so, and that it's not about, I don't think about just turning it over to you, it's about guiding and directing them and then giving them the resources. Our young lady here, Catherine Chapman, her mother is a former student of mine, but now she's a professor at the college, right? And so how do we nurture our own students to become the ones who take our place? And then we have to be willing to sit down and let them, right? And give them space to do so, whether it's at churches or businesses or in politics. That we have to make sure that we're nurturing and planning, developing what I would say succession plans. How do we prepare them for it? Because if we just say, oh, give it to the youth, that would be good, but they don't have all the tools that they need to do it. And so let's give them the tools, show them how to use it. It doesn't mean they have to do it the way we would do it, but give them all the tools and resources that are necessary, and then step back and watch them. Let them do it. And if they have questions, be available for them. to get answers to those things. And see it as a partnership, because I think that was your point, that you still have something to offer. Yeah, we have, as we get older, we still have something to offer, so, but let's, as we're getting older and making, and still wanting to offer, let's make sure we're bringing in other folks into the process to engage in that as we're moving through it. Thank you.
Wow, you took the words almost right out of my mouth, but I did want to take it in kind of a little bit of a different direction, where we, as the ones that are here, the ones that care about these problems, we might be able to speak our truths, our problems, but a lot of the other youth are unable to, simply because they don't know what the exact issue is, they don't know how to communicate it, as you mentioned before. But I think with so many educators in this room, I think it's so important to touch on the fact that a lot of the power obviously lies in your hands. Yes, it's important to listen to us, like when we speak our truth, when we speak out about the problems, but at the same time, education, I think, is really where the central power lies, and you guys have the power to educate the next generation. From the way that I see it, climate action, all these problems that we have in the world, as you said, they are global problems. These are systems-level problems, and you can't just teach them on compartmentalized levels. In school, learning about math, English, history, there's so much intersectionality, as you said before, and these things need to be expressed in that manner. They need to be not only shown, hey look, if you're learning about geometry, you can relate this to architecture and therefore the history of how certain buildings have come across in different parts of the world. It allows us as youth to not only care more about our environment, about our society and our earth as a whole, but it allows you as educators to essentially give back to the society you've grown in more curious, caring, kinder people. I think that's, for me personally, as someone who is in high school and is being taught all these things right now, I think that's the biggest thing for me, that being able to take a step back and identify the problem in my education at least, what do I need, and being able to convey that to you, I think that's the biggest thing for me on how exactly do we tackle these problems, how do we create action about these, and I think, again, as I said before, education is at the very center of that, and being able to give quality, holistic education is such a big, meaningful thing that even if it is at a small level, whether it's just teaching people in different towns, at a high school, at a college, whatever it is, I think it makes such a big impact to understand how your education impacts the world and allows you to see the world in such a broader lens. Philosophy, English, math, science, all of this contributes in so many different meaningful ways. So, yeah, thank you.
Shreya, by the way, was one of our honored panelists last year on the ecology. Back with us.
So I think to address the solutions that I was thinking of, I should probably explain a little bit about my problem first. So what I think the biggest problem our world is currently facing is in a way related to politics. The fact that in our current environment, funding has been removed from so many crucial organizations is critical to the fact that so many underprivileged communities lack the resources that they once had. We can see in Africa that outbreak of tuberculosis, they no longer have the doctors, the medicine, or the centers that they used to have because of this lack of funding. And so I think our solutions have to adapt to this new information. Because now, instead of just petitioning, you need to take action. Community health workers, one of the most essential parts of this entire system, there's a lack of them. We provide advocation. We tell more people to become community health service workers, but no one actually becomes a community health service worker. At this point, it's less about advocation and more about action. We're so focused on advocating and telling people what to do that we forget to do it ourselves. And I think that is the most crucial thing that we have to work on. If we say we need to plant more trees, instead of just saying it, go out and plant more trees. And that's what we need to be doing. Thank you.
decide. So who's holding the power? Safety. It is so important to feel safe. If there is no safety environment, nothing will happen. So the young generation, they get to colleges, they get to universities, and God forbid, they go for demonstration or they write a sentence in the school newsletter or something, and sure enough, later on, they are arrested or deported or something happened. So where is the safety? And as society, how are we going to raise and encourage the young generation to be the leaders in the future if we don't provide them with safety? And now, many times I heard the last speaker talk about funding. Many times I heard, why should someone go and study public health, for instance? I got my second master's and PhD in public health and epidemiology and learning about diseases and etc. But they said, don't work in the public health sector because there's no money in it. So how are we going to ensure health goes with safety? If I am sick and I cannot afford help or any minimal things that I need for my children or my family, what's my needs? What's my options in this world? So the question is again, who's holding the power? And if someone else up there holding the power, silencing people and the young generation, cutting budgets, all of that, so all the discussions that we've had so far here really meaningless. If someone wants to come and say, there's no budgets anymore, if you protest, I will arrest you, you go to administration, say, we don't have budget, we cannot do any of that. So basically, we are silent. So the question is, we talk about global, what can we do? Because if we don't have the resources and not the opportunity or give me the power to do that, then I am disabled. So what's the whole discussion is all about? Thank you.
This is very, very stimulating, so thanks so much. I know we're moving toward our 3 p.m. But I just wanted to respond to something that our moderator said about changing language, and something that Deb said, and that is about space, common space. Something that you can all look up when you have time is there's a huge deliberative democracy movement out there. There's all these organizations that create spaces that are calm for sharing views. And I think one of the problems, urgent problems, is that if we assume that the fast-paced news media is reality, that's a problem. We've been creating a space, which we've done in the church, which Dr. Yamba have created through this series is part of the key. Another thing that I just wanted to share that I recently found out about is something called Civic Season. Another thing to look up, that it's now a celebration of history that goes from Juneteenth through July 4th that's youth-driven. I was just amazed. I had never heard of it. There's all these events in the country. So here it is. There's all these opportunities. So knowing ourselves, when we're very diverse, huge democracy is one of the issues. How do we really know ourselves? So there's a lot of good things to look up. I just want to say thank you again for all these thoughts and some things to follow up on that are these spaces that we need, so that it's more than just the first hour of the week. And so, thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more response, but then we're going to wrap this up. You can come forward to the speaker. Thank you. And then we'll close.
The usual suspect is the Allmusic, but a quote from it is that the biggest lie or the most successful as a social worker, formulated the 5 freedoms. And there are things that we all need to provide everyone around us in order for us all to make change. The freedom to see and hear what is here instead of what should be, was, or will be. The freedom to say what you feel and think instead of what you should. The freedom to feel what you feel instead of what you ought. The freedom to ask for what you want instead of always waiting for permission. And the freedom to take risks in your own behalf, and I would say also on behalf of others, instead of choosing to only be secure and not rocking the boat. And that's what we need.
I think that becoming engaged is like the idea of building connections, being safe. It's also the main point here is becoming engaged, doing small things. You say just go out and plant the tree, right? We all have to just take that first step forward. And being a leader does not mean being someone that gets elected to something. It means doing something for yourself and leading yourself, and then building connections, and then you will grow. So that's the main thing I take from this, and that it's all going to start from within, and then it just moves from there. Thank you all for speaking and participating. And I hope that we can continue this progress, because you know these are trying times. But you know, if you just have an idea of I want to get to just being a little better than we have right now, then that's all we need to start making progress.
Thank you. Dr. Kwame Telesford for leading this discussion today, and I really appreciate you coming in and doing that for us, Kwame. And I'm one of his dance partners who do the Cuban salsa. So if you want to find out about it, let us know. We're going to have another dance probably at the end of April, so if you want to come dance with me, Kwame, we'll be here. I'd like to do some final acknowledgments of the folks who helped pull this program together. First of all, I want to say that I'm very proud that this is our 10th anniversary. We have Dr. Yamba. I'm sorry, it's your turn. It's not me.
Thank you very much. Dr. Manley and I certainly are very proud of the lecture series that have been going on for the past 10 years. And every year we come to this lecture series, we are energized, we are charged, we are inspired, especially in an intergenerational discussion where we listen to the young people in terms of their ideas, because at the end of the day, what we are talking about today is their future. I think we have built from the past, and indeed, as one of the speakers said, we probably did not do such a good job. Or at one time we did, and along the way, the baton has been dropped, and it's time for the baton to be picked up again, because we find ourselves in a world where, sadly, we are back to that Orwellian era where we cannot distinguish truth from fiction, reality from what is the truth. But at the end of the day, I think part of the discussion today is essentially not only taking individual responsibility, but we cannot live in an island by ourselves. Whether we like it or not, communications, technology, yes, they may have their drawbacks, but they have a tremendous advantage, and that advantage is we are all connected, whether we like it or not. What happens in Africa today affects us here in America. It affects those who live in Latin America, those who live in Europe, and those who live in Asia, whether we like it or not. And therefore, that responsibility has to be global. We are all interconnected. First place, we're all human beings. And part of that interconnectedness and responsibility is to take care of ourselves, take care of our planet. Take care of our planet. And taking care of the planet means taking care of the people or the individuals or the beings that live on this planet. And so over the years, Dr. Bambi and I have felt a sense of pride, and we have to thank, Pastor Norman, the members of the church, of this congregation, and all those who have participated over the years, the students, the staff, the professors, who have come to make this a really more than intellectual discussion, but a discussion whereby we take something with us. And that which we take with us, ultimately, that seed is within us. It has to germinate, it has to be watered, it has to be nurtured, and it has to grow and flourish. And from that flourishing, hopefully, we can all collectively change the world into a better place for all of us. So again, thank you very much for honoring us in this lecture series.
Thank you, everybody. Just some very quick final acknowledgements for the mission committee that pulls this lecture series together every year. We have Georgina Manley, who is Dr. Manley's daughter. We have Susan Hay, music director and symphony director in South Orange. Lena Okoro Nkuka, who is our new chair. And we have Abigail Johnson, also. Dr. Abigail Johnson. And Carol Forbes, who's also on the committee. Richard Jones, I don't see Richard here, but Richard Jones is also part of our committee. Oh, there you are back there. Am I missing a senior moment here? I think I've gotten everybody, myself.
Bob has a new member too.
Thank you very much. And we're going to have the Reverend close us. Oh, and then we'll have some photos after, if folks can stay around for that. We also have some remaining refreshments and cake to cut in the fellowship hall. Thank you.
Well, I'm one to say, who stands between cake and the rest of the afternoon? Not I, not I, not I. But it is, again, as I said in the opening, the honor to be here, the honor to do this as a reflection, but also a celebration. I do believe in our give us this day. And this is all that we have, this day. This day to celebrate you, to say, Dr. Yamba, the beautiful collection of work that you've done in education in this area, we honor you for that. Dr. Manley, for your work that you've done in social justice, the work that you've done for global responsibility at Seton Hall, and the way that you continue to give the words, we honor you for that. And we want to make sure that when we take this day, and we remember this day, that we take the time to not only honor our elders, but also to say thank you to our young ones, to our not so young ones, but to the ones who have, how are you doing back there, Cameron? Cameron Forbes is on the on technology for us right now, so we want to thank Cameron for doing that today as well. But we do want to just say that we honor all the work that's been done, the words have been said, and no greater honor could we do than to take this with us and in our places, in our communities, in our homes to use it. It will only start if we start. We have to start. The time of talking about it is gone. We've got to move forward and move forward in the faith that we do not go it alone, that no one has been called into a season without those to go behind them. So those are my words that I leave you this afternoon. And so I leave you with a benediction, the one that I sometimes use as we close our service, because it reminds me of our mission that once these doors are closed and the word that you've heard has been spoken, that you go out into the world, not as a person that came in the doors, but as a person who has been transformed, energized, prepared for something else. So go out into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return no one evil for evil. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all people. Love and serve your God. Do this in peace each day as you transform the world around you. Amen. Amen.